But if I pay good money for something, I own it, and I should be able to sell it as what it is. Putting restrictions, regulations on people that aren't doing a darn thing wrong in order to go after the people who are is an issue. Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth. Flipper, welcome to the cabin. I love talking about topics like we're going to talk about today. I'm pretty passionate about this stuff. Some people don't enjoy it, but a lot of people do. We always get some decent reactions when we talk about this stuff. Some of this might apply to you if you're an eBay reseller. A lot of it will definitely apply to you. If you have an LLC, this will apply to you as well, which I do have an LLC. And of course, I was thinking we were going to do the culmination to the feedback removal process if it ever got done. But I don't have, at least right now, maybe by the end of this video, I'll have an answer. If you watch from a few videos back where somebody left me a negative feedback, I went through the whole process with everybody on the video and said, hey, this is ridiculous. And then I attempted to try to get it removed. And I want to talk about that process as well, but we got some stuff headed out of here. Let's take a look. Seems like daily we are selling multiple things, 2-3 things that are going out on that 30% off sale, which means that some of that older stuff is going out along with a lot of the newer stuff, which is the right mix. I like that mix of older, newer, super old, and a big item and a pair of shoes. So if I get that in a hat, I'm really happy with what's headed out. So these are Disney Descendants. Some of these go pretty well. I didn't pay too much for these, $1 a piece. But these hung around way too long. Sold on for 30% off, $15.40 plus shipping. I guess the first thing we'll talk about is the what is it, CTA, BOI, Beneficial Owners Information stuff. I've mentioned it just a couple of times because it doesn't apply to everybody, but it does apply to me. And I made a conscious decision to ignore it, and that decision paid off. Oh, it is so cold out there. I pulled these out a little earlier. These... I never heard of the brand, but they're in good shape. They got to be worth something, right? Paid $5, and they really weren't worth that much. But these boots sold. Good time to sell boots. $22.10 went out on an offer plus shipping. So not making much money on either of these sales. Maybe $10 on this and probably $12 on these right there. But hey, that's $22 I didn't have before. I did something I never do, y'all, but it is so cold out there that I went and got all the stuff from the eBay cape because they're also still in there trying to dry it out from our disaster last week and all that stuff. And so I got all the stuff that was in there and brought it out here so I could just pull it from back here. Enron tennis. It just never stops, it seems. $20 for that one plus shipping. You know, I guess you can call me old school, but I believe in the old idea, which still shouldn't be an old idea, that you're innocent until you're proven guilty, which is why I've brought all three of these topics here into the same video. They are totally different, relate to people in totally different ways. But this is the kind of stuff I'll have to avoid using strong language, which for me isn't all that strong. But let me tell you, this kind of stuff just creeping into everything we do just drives me nuts. And so I get passionate about it. So I'm going to talk about this one. But it also applies to the idea of feedback. You know, if you're brought a case to eBay and just say, hey, look at this feedback. This is what the feedback says. And if you can tell clearly beyond a shadow of a doubt that it simply isn't true, you should remove that feedback. And I want to talk about that a little bit later. And I guess some positives, although my case is not resolved just yet. But I do see some folks and a lot of people chiming in saying, hey, eBay is kind of back to actually looking at things and not this canned answer of, you know, oh, it's just their personal experience and whatever. That's just a cop-out, in my opinion, just to say, hey, we don't want to spend the resources and the cost involved in dealing with this. It's not that big of a deal. So there's probably a middle road right there. But I want to talk about Puma as well and the Vero. The whole idea of innocent until proven guilty is totally just... They just go right over the top of people and make accusations and stuff. So we're going to talk about Puma a little bit. And I talk about stuff a little later than the news comes out because I really want to dissect it before I start yapping at the mouth. But this is the one. I'm going to pull one more item. We're going to look into this. Here's the headline. Injunction suspends enforcement of Corporate Transparency Act. Texas court rules. This is not just a Texas court. This is a federal court. And it's something I've mentioned a few times in here. It doesn't apply to you unless you have an LLC, but it does apply to me, and many, many resellers do have the LLC, so we're going to talk about that. This bag was here. You may remember this. So this is an interesting one. I did a Commonwealth picker video, and the very first sale I went to that day, I saw this bag, and I think they wanted $25. I think that's right. It might have been 30. Might have wanted 30 for it. Very, very good condition. And I know these things go all day long for 40 to 60 bucks all day, and they sell fairly quickly. The rolling luggage Vero bags, and depending on which one you have, you might have a bunch of money. But I wanted to pay 30 bucks or 25 or whatever it was. And so I just left. I left. And then on my way home, I drove past that exact same sale, and I saw it sitting out there, so I went back, and it was there all day, and you know, nobody would pay 30. And so I went and I asked, I think I asked for 15 bucks. And she's like, yep, no problem. And she did it in a heartbeat. She would not have taken that earlier in the day. So it's happy. $15 into, I went, you know, 30 bucks into 50, which is what this sold for, is not making you much money. It's making you like $10. That's a lot of risk, you know, when you have returns and all that. But 15 into 50, it was worth me picking up. I'm glad I did. I'm very happy about the decision. I think this is the right decision in this case. And like I said, if you're not an LLC, this might not apply to you, but it does. And it's the overall picture of the way court cases are decided. And in this case, I think that this law, this Corporate Transparency Act, was a massive overreach. And anytime you're trying to attack a problem, no matter how legitimate the problem might be, and there are problems with shell corporations and people trying to hide things and, you know, funding terror and all these different things. All that stuff's legitimate. But when the solution to the problem is to put just massive regulations and compliance stuff on everybody who's doing nothing wrong whatsoever, then we have a problem. It's like everybody's guilty and got to do this so we can attack 1% of the problem. And to me, that's just a bad way to do business. If it can be avoided, it should be. The U.S. District Court of the Eastern District of Texas, so this is a federal court, it's just a district in Texas, granted a nationwide injunction suspending enforcement of the Corporate Transparency Act and its beneficial ownership information reporting rule. If you are an LLC, you've known people behind the scenes, even on, I talk about it with people all the time that are LLCs, and they've talked about this. The requirement was that it needed to be filed by January 1st, 2025. And I just said I wasn't going to do it. I was going to wait, because this law, I mean, just reading into it, I'm like, how can they even require businesses to do this? Is this even constitutional, whatever? Well, it was struck down for not being constitutional. The court found that the CTA is likely unconstitutional, but an appeal is expected. However, businesses should monitor deadlines and be prepared to file. On December 3rd, in other words, if this is, you know, overruled by a higher court, or if it gets to the Supreme Court or something, you're going to have to do it, right? But there were massive fines in this stuff. There was jail time in this stuff. It was like, I can't remember the numbers, I shouldn't say. I think it was like $500 a day. It might even be higher than that if you didn't comply. And I'm like, geez. But I still didn't do it. On December 3rd, and most businesses didn't. On December 3rd, 2024, the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Texas issued a nationwide preliminary injunction temporarily suspending enforcement of the Corporate Transparency Act and its beneficial ownership information reporting rule. The injunction effectively suspends the requirement under the CTA for reporting companies to disclose their beneficial owner information. In my case, that would be me, but in many corporations, that would be just numerous amounts of people who benefit from ownership of an LLC. And it wasn't like it would take you all day or anything like that, but it is a it's not even about the time it would take, although that's part of it too. It's about the information that they would have on everything that they really don't need, except for they want it. And it's like, well, what do you want it for? You know, what you say you want it for, or do you want it for something else? And that's really the issue. And of course, this was to disclose it to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN. Okay? The injunction applies nationwide, providing that all businesses subject to the CTA's reporting requirements are relieved of their CTA obligations until further notice, which is awesome, because I didn't do it and I wasn't planning on doing it unless it was, I was going to do it like December 31st. if nothing had been done. I'm going to read one or two more things about that to make my point, and then we're going to get on to the Puma fiasco. Look at this. This was inside as well. So I brought it out here. These are some vintage Harley pants. Heavy duty Harley leather right here. These are really, really good. And I'm trying to show you the vintage tag in here, and I don't know that I can find it, but these are the real deal. $105 for those, plus shipping. All right, the court's decision to grant the injunction was based on the court's preliminary assessment that the CTA, Corporate Transparency Act, and the reporting rule is outside of the power granted to Congress and may violate constitutional protections. Look, I'm no lawyer, but when I read it, I thought the same thing. In this 79-page opinion, Judge Amos Manzant ruled that the reporting rule is likely unconstitutional outside of Congress's power, noting that the law only regulates the existence of anonymous corporate entities, not their economic or commercial activity or operations, which of course would not be a federal issue. In granting the injunction, the court determined the injunction should apply nationwide, blah, blah, blah. They go on to say, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it might bore you to tears, and you probably want to hear about the Puma thing more. But essentially, it was like, hey, if we let this thing go through, the damage is irreparable because all that information has been collected on innocent folks, you know, on everybody, just for simply having a business at the federal level. And so that was the issue, and I'm glad they didn't do that. I do not like the idea. Of course, we want to attack different things, scammers, frauds, fakes, you know, money laundering, all that stuff. But to put burdens on and have reporting for every single person, every single business in the country to comply with this stuff at such, in my opinion, ridiculous fees for not complying and all, you know, you could see they weren't pushing this hard. It's almost like they knew that this thing was not constitutional because you haven't seen much information out. You better do this, you better do this right now, you better do this right now. And of course, accountants across the country push this information out. And I got some for mine, you know, saying, hey, this is, you know, do what you will, basically. This is the law. But you could read between the lines and it's like, this is ridiculous. So the idea of this and other court cases that we've talked about, the Shop Safe Act and all the other stuff we've talked about, putting restrictions, regulations on people that aren't doing a darn thing wrong in order to go after the people who are, is an issue. And I think that's really what Puma has done here in one sense as well. I love this strategy of having all the glass out here so we didn't have to transport it and bubble wrap it and all that until it's 20 degrees and windy outside, and then I gotta come over here. But this is a sweet little Tarzan, what do you call them? Snow globes. I was losing my mind right there. It's a little music box, I believe. That one sold for good money. Sold for $100 plus shipping. I'm putting it on this Betty Boop shirt. This is listed over on Dibbed It as Deal of the Day. And check it out. Naughty girls get nice gifts. What size is that thing? Let's see here. Size large 11, 13. So I guess that's a, I don't know what it is. I don't know women's sizes. A youth shirt, I guess. Youth large, maybe. At any rate, that one is over there. You can use code Commonwealth if it's listed for $10 or more and get $5 off if it's your first purchase over there. All right, here's where I get really riled up. And this is a little bit old here, a week or so, but I'm going to talk about it now. Puma and the Vero. I was just saying about Vero that it seems to be better than it was. And then all of a sudden, Puma comes out and takes tons of people's listings down. Just tons and tons. And I don't know about you, but I don't think there's that many fake Pumas out there if that's what they're doing. I think more than likely is they're using this and saying trademark infringement and whatever. I don't know the absolute details of what's behind it, but I can tell you, actually I do know what's behind it. It's protecting their own marketplace. If you can all of a sudden take everything Puma that's secondary off the marketplace, then if somebody wants Puma, they're going to have to buy it from Puma, even on eBay. And this just irks me. The idea, if you take stuff down because you're claiming it's counterfeit, if that's the case, and it's not counterfeit, it should not be taken down. And the easy road for these marketplaces to take is to just take them down. But that is a bad precedent. And this takes me back to my teaching days, right? You know, and blanket, and you probably remember in your school days, if everybody got the same treatment because one kid did this or one kid that did that or whatever, that's just, you know, also the presumption of innocence, right? You need to prove guilt before you just start taking everything down. Now, I don't know if that's what they're doing or if they're trying the trademark game, and that's ridiculous too. I mean, here's a Nike shirt that's sold right here. And you know what? If it's fake, then absolutely, Nike's got every right in the world. But the idea that I can't sell a Nike dry fit t-shirt on eBay and use the word Nike because it's trademarked or whatever is utterly ridiculous and should be adjudicated, should be challenged. And if not by a person who has standing, certainly by eBay, I would think they have standing as well. And I just don't see too many of those cases. This sold for $10.46 plus shipping. You know, and there are resellers who tell me in these videos sometimes, you know, hey, it's their trademark. You can't use their word in the title or whatever. I'm like, listen, if this was in popular culture, if this was across the board and Chevy all of a sudden said, you know, you can't use Chevrolet in a newspaper ad when you try to sell it, your used Chevrolet that you bought off of us for $40,000 or whatever, the world would go nuts. It's ridiculous. It's restrictive on private property. If I understand not being able to sell a, you know, I don't know, a t-shirt that you made in your printing press in your basement and putting Nike on it and selling it as a Nike product, completely understandable. But if I pay good money for something, I own it and I should be able to sell it as what it is. And the trademark goes with that. That doesn't mean I can use it for something else, but it does on that product. I would love for all of this to be fully adjudicated. I wish somebody, and people, you know, they're being bullied. And it's infuriating to me. And I don't know the answers. I wish that somebody as big as eBay could, if not them themselves, fund somebody who has been affected by this and challenging this in a courtroom and putting it to bed once and for all. You know, when I first started talking about this stuff years ago, and people would come up with Veros and stuff, and they'd post them, and they were always just warnings. Don't list this, don't list this, don't list that. And now it's become quite a bit different. I'm seeing a little pushback in two different ways, and it's encouraging. Size medium, Columbia jacket, you know, they're not amazing, but when you find them out there cheap, this one sold for $23 plus shipping. It's new, doesn't have the tag. It just got that. I don't know if that came from Goodwill or whatever, but it is in pristine condition. I don't know if I listed it as new or not. Did I? Nope, I didn't, which is a good decision. So I'll take that. So now when I read these threads, and I'm encouraged by this, and I think this is the attitude we should take. And it may not bring solutions, but at least it brings awareness to the fact. I mean, imagine if all these companies did this. Nike is one of the most sold products in the world secondhand. Imagine if Nike started pulling this stuff. It really restricts, and in my opinion, it's a private property right issue. It goes to first sale doctrine, etc., etc. I don't want to tell people, hey, just, you know, keep listing it, ignoring it, and getting punished by eBay or whatever. I just wish that somehow, some way, it could be challenged, because I'm almost certain they would lose, and if they wouldn't, then the whole marketplace, secondary reselling, would collapse around it. So, well, not all of it, but a good portion of it for sure, because other companies would join in and do this exact same. But as I read these comments and these threads on Facebook and these different groups that I'm in and look at, and even the eBay message boards, you're starting to see now some pushback. And some of the pushback is like, oh, well, looks like I'll never buy that product again because I don't really own it if I can't sell it using what the product is. And I'm kind of on board with that as well, but I also see other pushback exactly like I'm talking about right here, pushing back against eBay to do something about it, pushing back maybe as some kind of a group effort in this stuff. This is just ridiculous. And I hope someday in the future, if it eventually gets to where it needs to get, I think resellers will win in this. But it's not just resellers. I mean, like I said, just think of the car analogy. Or almost anything. There's a lot of folks out here there who resell stuff who aren't resellers in the traditional sense that we think of. They're buying things that are rather expensive, and when they get rid of them, they want to, I mean, you know, they're posting on Facebook Marketplace, they're doing whatever. Is all that stuff not going to be allowed because of trademark law? It shouldn't be allowed if you're using it in the wrong way. But if I'm saying this is a Columbia jacket, when I sell it, that trademark is going to stop me from selling it. That can't stand. And I'm certainly not telling people to go ahead and list these things, but let me tell you, that's the way I feel about it. I want to list it. I was like, hey, come on, come and get me kind of stuff. I don't know if that's the right decision economically, but it is the right decision. This one was inside. We've pulled a lot of stuff out from in there as they're going through after the flood in my basement. And this was cool. There was no comp on eBay for this. And I'm like, ooh, I'm definitely going to pick this up. It's a 300, or excuse me, what is it? The Endless yard sale down in North Carolina. Picked it up over a year ago. And it's been listed for a while, but it sold at full price. It was the only one out there just waiting for the right buyer. That Modelo, sorry. Got the little bottle open right there. That thing sold for $100 as well, plus shipping. At the very least, eBay and other marketplaces should, I don't know, if this happened to you, let me know in the comments if they took one down, and if it was on Posh or somewhere else as well, let me know if they're taking it down across the board. I know they're probably not hitting those smaller marketplaces, which is another reason some of those are rising with certain categories as well. But the marketplaces should hear about it from sellers especially. I mean, hey, it's not a ton of money, but, you know, I know there are sellers out there who probably have 6, 8, 10 items of one of these things. And imagine investing that money and then having it all, you know, disappear because you can't sell something that you legally own that is authentic. This might take me a minute. I can't believe I'm in this bin again, y'all. It's been crazy how many times I've been in here lately. I can't find it. All right, crisis time. I couldn't find it. The good news is I have a perfect defect rate, 0 defect rate. Bad news is I'm on the clock, so I'm going to have to try to solve this after I get back tonight from picking up Turner. So, at any rate, we're going to move on. We have a viewer sale, and it might be the only one for today, but let me know in the comments what you think about the Veros, and if you think I'm right saying what I'm saying, or if you think I'm wrong even, let me know. I think most people will agree with me, and I think we're getting more and more people to kind of fight back against this stuff, at least feel like they want to fight back against it as opposed to just roll over, which is what I used to see in the comments all the time. Boy, this ladder is getting heavier as I get older. Let me grab this. Also tell me specifically what you think about the Puma one. Seems far-reaching and completely ridiculous here. Let's get this little pumpkin right here. We're going to take this thing down. And this was one of the things that came out of the trailer from Mike Death Pal Picker. And this guy, I think he sold for $75 plus shipping. I also sold this right here. I think this Trinket. I picked this up. This stuff I never used to pick up. But I'm like, this thing's awesome. Seeded a sale. Looks really cool. And I decided I'd grab it, and somebody else liked it. This one sold for $29.95 plus shipping. Once again, I find myself out here in the second shed. Somebody, what should I call this one? Somebody gave me a good name for it the other day, and I cannot remember, but we'll get to it. I was always hoping for another sponsor to step in. Hasn't happened just yet. Lady and the Tramp. That one is iconic right there. Really love that one. That one was $40 plus shipping. That went to a viewer, so I'm going to read that comment. This one did not. You know, I've talked about, it's ironic because I put this up here because it was over there just a few minutes ago, right where that other thing was, and I didn't even realize it had sold. Sometimes I'm not too bright. This is Blanco, and I've talked about the 30% off sales. There's Blanco right there. And I go straight to 30% off after it doesn't sell for, 300 days or something. And that's what I did on this one. And just realized, it's probably a mistake on this one. A lot of times I'll take ones off. This probably could have sold at 15% under where it was at. And I just didn't catch it and click it off. But you know what? I'm still happy. Paid $5 for it. Sold for $34.97 plus shipping. That is still not a bad sale. All right, I think I finally got cold enough to keep this jacket on out here before I turn the heater on and ship. A lot of people have been asking about shipping videos lately. I really don't do those anymore, but there is a playlist on this channel where you can go down and look at some shipping stuff. But maybe I'll put a few more things out there on Facebook or something, or we'll see. This one went to Tara. She says, "Hi, Kevin. After shopping your store for my sister, I found these for my daughter, who has everything Disney. These will make a beautiful addition to her collection. Thanks for all the informative content you share with resellers. Wishing you and your family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year." Tara, thank you, and I hope your daughter enjoys it. So another one of these Christmas dinners, Freedom from Want. These go for $9.95 plus shipping. I thought the Discovering Santa ones would start to sell by now, but apparently they have not. And usually the Taz ones of these keychains sell really well this time of year, and Scooby's been outpacing them, which is good because I got more Scooby. $7.66 is what we're getting for these mini book keychains. Next item, I've been waiting for a while for it to sell. And that, you know, that reminded me of something just a minute ago I was thinking of when the camera was off. You know, how many of you out there bought something yourself from a department store or something and then was told that it wasn't real? That's got to make people suspicious, and I think rightly so. Victoria's Secret. I was thinking this one was getting close to, I bought this for $1, getting close to getting on a sale. 30% off, being in the store too long. It's got the tag on it right there. How much was it originally? $68. So I bought it for $1, sold it for $39.95 plus shipping. Seems like when I find Victoria's Secret, I find a bunch of it at one yard sale, and I just buy it all if it's cheap. And a lot of it's not really worth a ton, but some of them like that, when you give it tags, they sell for decent money. Bought this one not too long ago, and it sold pretty quick. NBA Street GameCube game. Picked this one up for $1 as well at a sale. Everything was kind of overpriced for me to buy at that particular sale, but then I went and saw a tub, and it had some video games in it, and so yeah, $1 a piece. And I've sold this one many times. Doesn't sell for a ton, but $1 into $14.95, super easy, plus shipping. I just noticed a double sale. That sometimes tells me it's a viewer. So Trisha, I'm going to thank you, even though there's no message. I'm not sure you're a viewer, but I bet you are, because you bought a Damn It doll and something else. So Trisha, if I missed a message, I'm sorry, but thank you very much for the purchase. This little skeleton Damn It doll, $12.95, I think. No, $12.17. Did you use a code? No, must have been on a send offer. And it's a 0 feedback buyer. Is that right? Oh no, that's just a 0 at the end of your name. So we appreciate that. And you bought something else. And it is going to be either in Froggy Flips or Shadjuice's drawer right here. This has been here for a while. I keep all my ornaments inside, but not this one. It's the Air Force Academy. I hope this didn't get damaged. The box, I'll have to look at the picture. The box is a little damaged. I think it's probably the way we listed it. 30% off discount on this one, $10.46 plus shipping on the Air Force Academy Christmas ornament. It was originally 20 bucks. Next sale I really like. I've had it for a long time, and I had it priced up, and it finally did sell at 30% off. I want to remind you, we are doing a giveaway of a brand new Switch over on dibdit.com. I don't have the exact date unless I have put it in. My guess is I'll be able to put it right here in this video. And if you go over there, and we'll have the information on what you do, but it'll be a giveaway, and we're going to be doing a bunch of lives over there, and at the end of all the lives, we're going to give that thing away. How about this one from who turned out to be a viewer at the Escape from the Interstate, or Take a Break from the Interstate sale. Not this last year, but the year before, and had it listed pretty high. And it sold on 30% off for $38.49. I think it's kind of cool. Philip Van Neuter. Is that the name? How come I am not familiar with this guy? I can't believe it. I should be. I watch the Muppets all the time. But that one, Beaker, was one of my favorite. And, of course, the Old Men and Animal, plus shipping. All right, you have waited around long enough for the free tape giveaway. I use the 3-inch tape. Absolutely love it. But we're giving away the, what is this, 2-inch tape. And it is 60 yards. There's a 4-pack of that tape. Joel was nice enough to donate all of that, and we've got QR codes. We got codes for everybody who wins. You send me a message if you've won it. I gotta pick the winner out. What am I doing here? I'll turn the camera off and pick the winner. And send us a message over on commonwealthpicker@gmail.com if I call your name in a minute. And if not, put my go-to tape down below, and you'll be entered to win the next batch of tape. All right, we won it. Dr. X Zombie. Dr. X Zombie. Okay, did I read that right? You are the winner of the tape. Send me an email, commonwealthpicker@gmail.com. Like I said, I use that 3-inch tape. I love it. If you're interested in checking that out, they got tape guns, they got shrink wrap, all that stuff. Use code Commonwealth 5% off, or use my link for the bubble wrap. All right, y'all. Turner has every time Marlon comes in here, you can see what he does. No. Come over here. Come over here. There you go. All right, Turner's got some Commonwealth comedy. What do you got, bud?
Why does Scrooge love Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Why does Scrooge love Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? I don't know why.
Because every buck is dear to him.
Very good. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, y'all, tell me in the comments down below what you think of the Vero, what you think of the BOI decision in the court cases. I'd love to hear it. And I'd also say I was going to talk about the feedback today because they told me within 48 hours it would be resolved. I'd have an answer. Well, it's been 50 hours, still no resolution. So I will try to do that on the next video. Thank y'all for joining us, and I can't wait to see you next time.